I got a job as a forest fire watcher, and something strange happens here. I feel fear gripping me. I'm afraid to move. The footsteps on the stairs are getting closer and closer. The fear inside me screams at me to follow the rules, but I'm tired of being afraid. I don't want to hide anymore. I want to end this nightmare here and now. Damn, the lamp is out. Am I in total darkness? Where's my flashlight? I don't know either. Maybe I dropped it somewhere on the way to E and left it on Allison's tower. I'm in a state of indescribable terror. All I can hear are footsteps and the beating of my heart. And then I remember there's an old oil lamp under the bed, which I discovered on my first day of work. I quickly tore up the bed and pulled out the lamp with shaking hands, took matches from my pocket and lit the kerosene lamp. The faint light confused part of my cabin. Now I'm standing in front of the door and just waiting. I listened for a moment. The sound of footsteps subsided for a couple seconds, but resumed a moment later, now accompanied by the sound of scratching. The seconds of waiting seemed like an eternity, when the sound of footsteps was very close and then stopped. I realized that someone or something was standing outside the door. I froze. Only a faint scratching on my door could be discerned. The sound was so quiet that it could barely be picked up. But to my excited mind, it was comparable to the siren's voice. At some point, the door creaked quietly and slowly opened. There beyond my threshold, I could make out the dark silhouette of a woman staring at me. I could feel that hungry gaze on me. A gaze scalding, chilling at the same time. One more second and I'd just die of fear. I should have followed the damn rules. My inner voice is screaming. "You're going somewhere?" suddenly asks me. The woman takes a step into the cabin. My heart clenched and my legs gave out as Allison stood in front of me. There wasn't a single emotion on her face. The only thing that stood out were the crazy, huge eyes staring back at me, and the bloody streaks in her hair. Apparently, she had been injured in the fall after all. None of this would have been as horrible if it weren't for the hunting knife she was slowly scraping against the door jamb. I couldn't say a word. My whole body went into a single cramp. "You must have had some urgent business in the middle of the night, didn't you?" Allison continues in a monotone voice and takes another step toward me. "Allison, I think you need help. There's something wrong with you. I can help you. I really don't want to hurt you. You seriously think I need help and you're willing to help me?" "Yeah, of course, Allison. I understand what you've been through during this time when my sister and I really needed help. None of you were there for you. Nobody cared about us. And now you think you can make a difference. I think you need more help now. But no one will help you. Just like no one helped Harvey with his fucking rules. Just like no one helped my sister back in the woods." Allison yelled at me. "Allison, you killed Harvey. Cardi is as much to blame as anyone else, as much as you and the smiling woman. And the rules are your handiwork too. The thing is, I'm asking, of course, because it helped me to get you in the right state of mind, to make you as afraid as my sister, to make you terrified of loneliness and the unknown, to make you experience what she experienced before she died. And then I found the rules in Hardy's stack. I decided to play his game, and you thought they were protecting you. It's fun to watch you shake under the covers. Allison, I know you're upset about your sister's death, but you're the one to blame for killing her, aren't you?" "I didn't kill my sister." "You did. Did you abandon her?" At that moment, she looked at me with her lifeless eyes, raised the knife, and lunged at me, my thoughts confused. I reflexively bounced to the side and miraculously dodged the blade. The difficulty of my position was that I had nothing else in my hands but an oil lamp. I turned completely around as I saw the blade above my head again. I jerked to the side again, but this time it caught me. The knife slid down my forearm. I felt a sharp pain in my arm. Allison looked at my wound. I smiled evasively and went at me again. At that very moment, I noticed that I had my back to the exit of the hut, and a saving thought flashed through my mind. I swung my healthy hand, in which was a kerosene, and threw the lamp right under the feet of this madwoman. The lamp shattered, and in one instant part of the floor and feet. Allison burst into flames. "I don't know, Allison," cried Allison into the phone. "I'm really sorry about your sister. Really? I apologize for upsetting you and perhaps reminding you of this misfortune. I wasn't going to ask her any more questions, no. I'm still not sure if she's hiding something from me or not. But we are friends now, and I want to keep it that way. I didn't want to become her enemy and fight with her, so I decided to close this painful topic for her. I thanked her for talking to me. I believe it. I kind of want to believe it. I don't know why. But after that conversation, I felt a little more at peace than I had before, and it turns out Harvey just disappeared. And he and Rick both probably saw a woman smiling. Apparently it's the crazy woman who stalked me last night. I don't want to believe all this nonsense. But I get goosebumps when I remember the horrible scream and how I ran, trying to get away from her. Yesterday, I lay on the bed all day into the evening and didn't even sleep. I was just trying to make sense of all the information Allison had shared with me. By the way, maybe the camera will give me some answers. The camera I found yesterday is now charged. I turned it on, and the screen showed 3 photo gallery options. Settings. I chose gallery. There are some pics of some lake from the car house, nothing that would help me by scrolling through them at a fast pace. I happened to notice an image of a tower. This is my tower I am in, and there is a family of 3 standing at the base of it. The father has dark hair. It's quite long, and he looks like he hasn't had a haircut in about 5 years. A big, strong guy. The mother is blonde with a beautiful smile and her hand on her husband's shoulder. Mother is blonde with a beautiful smile, her hand on her husband's shoulder. 3 in the photo with them is a child. It is a boy with short brown hair and a striking resemblance to his father. I keep looking through the photos, but no longer see 7 together, only a man. He was taking selfies inside the tower. He was taking pictures of the view from the window of the outhouse and some trails. Maybe it's Harvey or Rick. If it's Harvey, it makes sense why he would want to leave the woods. After all, he has a wife and a son. But Allison, she never told me anything about either of them having a family. Everything is just getting more confusing and I don't understand anything anymore. Which apparently was turned on in all rooms at once. Then the photos were even more mysterious. The next photo. This is clearly a bunker, that bunker I found nearby, dug in the ground, that had that sleeping bag in it. And this camera only in the photo, it looks unfinished, as if in construction. In the process, whoever had that camera must have been building it. Allison said that Harvey was a normal person, and she didn't notice anything strange about him. Well, why the hell would he build a bunker in the woods and so close to the tower? I guess all the weirdness is just the face. Well, okay, about that later. The next picture is of a tree, barely visible in the dark. Then 4 or 5 pictures. Also, this tree at the base of the tree. A shadow, a strange, distorted shadow. Harvey or someone else was trying to take a picture of something. And it's that crazy woman. Suddenly I heard crying coming from downstairs. What time is it now? It's 2 a.m. What the hell is going on? It's a woman crying. It didn't sound too close, but I was sitting on the bed and listening to the long, bloody screaming. I remember this rule. Rule 3. If you hear a woman crying between 1 a.m. 4 a.m. and ignoring it, I can't sit still and just listen to this. Crying sounds very pitiful and believable. I really want to go and help, in case someone really needs help quietly. As I can, I put on my gear. I grabbed my flashlight, my walkie-talkie, and opened the door of my cabin. I cautiously walked down the stairs, lighting the way in front of me so I don't trip. The crying is coming from deep in the forest, so I carefully make my way through the branches of the trees. I don't know how to describe this crying, but it can be. I know how to describe it. But it is like a mother who has lost her child and is crying in despair. My flashlight was off. As the crying was getting louder, I crouched down, carefully squatting from bush to bush, from tree to tree. The air was very foggy and cool, getting colder. The closer I got, when I looked out from behind a tree, I saw her. She was sitting by the tree with her hands over her face and crying. She was next to me. She had dark hair, very dirty and wet, although I couldn't see it too clearly. I stand up, turn around to the door, and at that moment I realize that the moan is coming from somewhere behind me. I turn around slowly, afraid to imagine what might be behind me. and as I turn around, I see the very curtain I hadn't paid any attention to before. I reach my hands through the curtain and feel some sort of metal cloth underneath. I gently pull the curtain down, and indeed behind it is an iron door that is closed with a massive latch. The moans come from that door. And at that moment I felt that I wasn't afraid, as if my intuition told me that there was nothing creepy behind the door. I quickly pulled the latch, opened the heavy door, and peered inside. There was a room even smaller than the one I'd slept in. And on the ground lay a girl, a regular girl, and judging by the fact that she was moaning. I think while still alive approached and I recognized her, it was Samantha Mark's daughter. She was slightly bruised on the head. She had a visible gash of caked blood, but otherwise, she was intact. As it later turned out, Samantha had come to Allison's tower after me to deliver her first necessity groceries. Finding her in the shack, she decided to leave the groceries in storage. Sam went inside, saw the remains of the man and tried to run away, but at that moment she was pinned over the head. Samantha had time to get a good look at the crazy-eyed girl in the plaid shirt. I realized it was Allison. After that, she herself woke up locked up and was there until I found her. I managed to radio for help and also managed to get in touch with Mark. Turns out Samantha is indeed his daughter, and he sent her out to put food in the towers. A few hours later, an ambulance crew and police arrived on the scene. I told them everything, as I had had enough of the mysteries. Luckily, I hadn't been arrested yet. The inspector said there was no crime yet. He explained that Allison had never been found, though that was not surprising since the tower had burned to the ground. By the way, as we were being driven into town, I read Susie Hacker's diary. Hello, dear diary, my name is Susie, and now I'm going to share my innermost thoughts with you. Today, an unexpected turn happened in my life. I met a guy, and he invited me to a movie. Alice would be jealous. Well, that's really none of my business. Well, hello, dear diary. Today, Ellie and I are going for a walk in the woods. The weather is just right, and I think we're going to have a great time together. Hi, dear diary. We've been wandering around the woods for hours now and can't find our way out to the trail. Alice is getting worried, and understandably so. She's the big sister. She's responsible for me, but I think we'll be okay, and we'll get out. Dear diary, it's dark. We couldn't find our way, and now we have to spend the night in the woods. I'm hungry. It's been days. We haven't eaten or drank, tried to catch some animals. It didn't work. I'm dizzy from hunger, but I believe they'll find us. Today, I fainted. It must have been the hunger. Alice will find a way out and we will be rescued. Alice has changed. She looks at me strangely and hardly talks to me. She's desperate, and I'm holding out hope that we'll be found and everything will be okay. Alice attacked me. She pushed me into a ravine. I think my arm and leg are broken. I'm in a lot of pain. I can't move. I hope they find me. I'm alone. Alice left me. I'm scared. I can't walk and I'm very hungry. Help me.